Welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show, Expresso, right here on S3 on this fresh Tuesday morning. Wonderful to be hanging out with you, waking up with you this morning. Now, we are all about diving into the captivating realm of archaeology on today's episode. And as we embark on our journey to uncover the truth, we tackle a rather thought-provoking question this morning that has been, I think, on the minds of many since the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. Should the British monarchy return the Hope Diamond to South Africa as a gesture of apology for the colonial era? And I think in a broader context as well, repatriating cultural artifacts to their countries of origins. And we'd love to hear from you what your opinion as well. But right now, let's hear from our friends at 5FM Breakfast what they have to say.
Hey Espresso, Dan Corder here with Madly Van Eden and Thabo Baloy from 5FM's Breakfast Show 5 Breakfast. And we have been asked to, and we want to talk about the Cullinan Diamond. For those of you who don't know, it's also called the Star of Africa Diamond. It's the biggest diamond in the whole world. And it was taken from a South African diamond mine in, was it early 1900s, Thabo? Late 1800s?
So. Yes.
And taken by largely, let's be honest, English colonizers back to England and given to the king and the Queen. And you would have most recently seen it in the hands of King Charles. So there's been a huge chat across South Africa and indeed the world about whether or not it should be returned. Is that fair, Thabo?
Yeah, sure. Well, for me, it's kind of, I definitely think it should be returned, yes, a big resounding yes. But for me, it's kind of twofold, right? There's one, acknowledging, the kind of role that it played as a colonial power, Britain. But secondly, accepting responsibility for it. And what that would mean in this instance is returning the diamond. And I think for the most part, it's a new era in Britain now, right? King Charles is the new king. He has the responsibility of essentially righting what has been a wrong for so long.
Yeah, you're so right, because none of his predecessors have ever acknowledged that colonialism did anything evil at all. Do you think that the returning of the diamond could be a massive show of goodwill that could actually help people go, okay, they're taking it seriously this time?
To a certain extent, I think so, because as you know, colonialism, it's been this kind of hot topic among South Africans for a very long time. People are very divided over it, but I think this could be the first step for King Charles. He has a huge responsibility taking over his mother, who, as we know, has never really fully accepted responsibility for the role that Britain played in colonialism. But I think now this is his chance as the new king to make that right. And I think more than anything, bringing back the diamond would be the beginning of what should be to come from the UK.
And I mean, definitely, Thabo, like you say, that's only the first step. And it's not only the Cullinan diamond they took. They're known for having taken many artifacts from across the world. And I think this is a powerful first step to show that, listen, we're going to take accountability for what we did. We are trying to right these wrongs. And the thing for me is, the diamond is part of our cultural history, our cultural heritage, and we need to have access to that. It's so sad that all of these artifacts are in Britain and they get to see them, they get to enjoy them, but what about us? Arts and artifacts should be accessible to everyone. So I definitely think, I agree with you, it needs to be returned to South Africa because it is ours and we get to decide what happens to it.
Yeah, and I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, I heard somebody once say that the best place to see our history is in a British museum. And that's true for a lot of places around the world, and that's crazy, especially because if you go to a British museum, you will still pay for entry and stand behind like a red rope to see the history of other countries which were colonized and exploited by British rule. So I'd love the Cullinan Diamonds to be the first one. A lot of South Africans have been like, but we're not going to look after it, we're a corrupt country, we can't look after anything. And I just want to say, that's not the point, because when somebody has been robbed, you don't say, okay, we'll only give you back the thing we stole from you if we think that you'll look after it the way we want to look after it. That's literally insane. So to anybody who's running that argument, I would literally rather South Africans had the Cullinan diamond and we chose whatever we wanted to do with it than it sit in the hands of, respectfully, an old guy who was born in a certain family and therefore got a big wedding. Is that unfair, Thabo?
Yeah, sure, makes sense. But also, I wonder what then, let's say, does come to South Africa. where does it go? Do we put it on display?
That's what's interesting.
Right? Does it become like our new national treasure? Because it would be, I guess, enhancing for our history.
It has to be publicly owned. It's not going to a person.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, Dan, you actually you mentioned the point now where a lot of people have this debate that no, the diamond shouldn't be returned because we in South Africa won't be able to look after it, apparently. But I always think of those arguments and then I think, but why would people say that? Because I actually think we have a history of looking after things well in museums. I mean, we have many amazing museums. In Cape Town, there's at Groote Schuur Hospital, there's the Heart Transplant Museum. In Kimberley, there's the Big Hole with a lot of artifacts also stored there. So I don't relate with the debate that we aren't going to look after it.
Totally. And the last thing I'll say on that is, if you talk about something being looked after badly, I would argue the British are looking after things very badly right now. Because the wrong way to look after something is to give it to one guy and not allow anybody, even from the country of origin, to appreciate it. And this also applies to museums. So that's what we think. You can let us know what you think. Thank you so much, Expresso. This has been 5FM's Breakfast Team. My name is Dan. That's Madly and Tabo. We're out.
Thank you very much to the 5FM Breakfast Team. I think it's a rather thought-provoking question. Should these historical artifacts be returned to their countries of origins? And up next on your Fuga Breakfast Show, we do have the experts in the house to shed some of their thoughts on this matter.